What's up, everyone out there in Heroclix land? This is Brandon from PCB. Following Kyle's top 10, this is now my top 10. I want to put out there I don't care a whole lot about the meta. I play the game for the characters, as I'm hoping everyone else does. And that's what matters most to me, the characters that they make. I don't care if a piece is crazy in the meta game or breaks the game. It doesn't really catch my attention if I don't care anything about the character. Before I get started, I will give 2 honorable mentions out to characters that did not make the list, but I need to mention them because I need to mention them. The first one would be the Phantasm from the new Batman the Animated Series set. She is a super rare, number 51. I don't have a whole lot of connection to this character. I liked the movie, it was great, but before that, didn't really care too much about it. However, her as a character is amazing. She can make Smoke Cloud for free, all 6 squares, move through those squares for free as well, and then she can still attack afterward. With her starting 10 attack, 12 if the target's less points than she is, with blades and exploit weakness. And on top of all that, even though it doesn't make sense for the character, she's Mystics, all for 75 points. Yeah, I'm okay with that. And then the other honorable mention is a version of one of my favorite villains of all time, which you'll see in my top 10 list. And that is Spider-Carnage, convention exclusive. He basically plays as you expect Carnage to play, has a symbiote trait of shape change, plasticity, and automatic breakaway. Charge flurry piece, but at the end he can increase the damage he deals with the flurry and blades combo, as well as damage himself in the process if he does KO a character, but by then you've probably wrecked at least 2 of your opponent's characters already. So to kick off my list, number 10 is a figure which is also a convention exclusive that made me very happy when they made him. I wish we could get more characters from the DC Universe, and that would be Arrow from the CW series. Arrow. Again, 75 points. He is a piece that you can switch between range focus and close combat focus, and just feels like a great representation of the character, easy to play, and the sculpt is just spot on in the pose and the detail and the paint. It's just anything I'd want for an Arrow figure, and it made me very happy when they made him. Number 9 is a bit of an odd choice, even Kyle admitted, because the Penguin means hardly anything to me as a character, outside of liking Gotham's version of the character. I really don't give a crap about the Penguin in any stories. However, this piece from the Fast Forces of Joker's Wild, I took a great liking to. It's 25 points, and at the start of the game you can choose one of your friendly characters to get +1 to their attack and range, and that will change unless another character makes a free close attack on Penguin, in which you take his, what they call the Deal Maker token, onto a different character. Anyone, the opponent's characters or your own, can change the token at any time if you freely attack him, but usually you'll keep him back far enough the opponent won't get there. But he's a nice little boon to whatever main piece your team is supporting, and it's been a staple of most of my teams that I care about winning. This here, number 8, is a character everyone expected to see on my list that knows me, and she would be higher if not for the character following her. But this is Scarlet Witch, specifically the super rare number 55 from Uncanny X-Men. Scarlet Witch as a character was one I really grew to like with the Avengers vs. X-Men version, who could just shut down team abilities across the board with her No More Mutants trait, and became such a favorite opponent of Kyle's to deal with in the early games that we played. With this piece, for again 75 points. She is a great teleporter with the ability to have Prob control and enhancement, as well as place her little hex marker on a friendly character or an opposing character, which would then make your friendly character more able to hit critical hits, or your opposing character more able to critical miss. She was a staple of many of my teams for many years, but was sadly booted out of her spot recently from a super rare from Batman the Animated Series, who is Zatanna. Zatanna is a character I've always liked as well, just like Scarlet Witch, and this version of her is just about perfect. Again, being 75 points, she is also Mystics, which is great, something I found sorely lacking in the Scarlet Witch super rare. I felt she should always have Mystics. But this piece does what Scarlet Witch does, just a lot better. Her herself, she has perplex and probability control top dial, and she has the ability to spawn up to a maximum of 2 bats on the board, and each of those bats has shape change and enhancement, and you can also sidestep. So she can totally bring a lot more hurt as a support piece to your main attacker, as well as still giving that all-important probability control, and dissuading opponents from attacking her because of her own Mystic's ability. Number 6 starts off the basic trend that everyone expected to see from me that knows me, and these are all more so based on characters completely rather than their dial, even though they do support amazing dials. And this character is only so low on this list because of all the versions of other characters that have been made in the past 2 years. But this is the Taskmaster rare piece from Civil War OP. I love this representation of the character. The sculpt is amazing. He's only 80 points. He is a wild card, and he has a plethora of different powers on each click of his dial, but he sports the ability to click to that dial at the beginning of the turn, any click you choose, and at the end he can be pushed back to his original click, which is hopefully still click 1. This sets him up for being a great piece in many different situations. As long as he's on more than his last click, you can push him without having any real penalty because he'll go back to his first click anyway. You can use him as a battery for X-Men teams because he can copy the team ability, and you won't have to worry about taking the damage from the team ability if you roll bad because he'll click back to his first click as long as you click in the beginning of the turn. He's a great adaptability piece, and again, being one of my favorite characters of all time, it's one of my favorite pieces to ever use and one of the pieces that my opponents hate to see me play. Now, coming to our number 5, this character you could say is the main reason I got into clicks, because way back in Galactic Guardians, this character was on the box from the Super Booster, and he was one of my favorite characters from playing Marvel vs. Capcom 3, also why Taskmaster's on this list. And while the piece from Galactic Guardians is no longer with me due to it being way outdated, the new piece from last year's Colossal OP kits is here, and that is Dormammu, the Dreadlord himself of the Dark Dimension. This piece in particular, I'm not as crazy about the dial as I was the original one. I do wish he knocked out the ability to have Mystics hurt your entire team, but he still himself has Mystics. He does have a nasty retaliation on his retaliation click, and he has 350 points of just raw power. He has an interesting trait where his rolls cannot be re-rolled in any way, but he gets to roll 3 dice whenever he attacks, so you shouldn't even need to re-roll it anyway. And also, if he's played at full points, he does get Power Cosmic, otherwise he will always have Willpower. Again, not my favorite version of the character, but as far as being a Colossal, I was very happy they remade him, and is a piece I do tend to support a lot in my teams just to be able to use him as a retaliation piece, or I'll use him on a lower point value as an attacker. Now, as you can see by my shirt, if you can see my shirt, one of my all-time favorite villains is Shredder. The only character close to him is Carnage. And I do wish that WizKids would make pieces from the 2003 cartoon series. That's one thing I kind of irks me that they haven't. But when they finally made Turtles clicks, Turtles being my favorite thing since I was a child, that really made clicks the thing for me to play. And they have at least made a few pieces from the 03 series. They have not made the Shredder from that series in his normal form, but they did make him as a convention exclusive in the Cyber Shredder form. This piece is 125 points. He's got a lovely little defense power where he gets impervious, and he can make a free attack against an adjacent opposing character every turn. If he reduced damage in the previous turn, he gets +1 to his attack for each attack that he reduced damage from. He also has Giant Reach 2 and Energy Shield Deflection, and later on throughout his dial, he gets neat little powers where he cuts everyone else's range down to, I believe, 5 squares. You can also mind control up to 4 characters at the same time under certain conditions. Really nice piece. I love the sculpt. It captured the look of the show at that point perfectly. The paint is awesome, and just a piece I was very happy to have them make. And of course, I've mentioned him a few times. or I think only one, yeah, a few times in this video. And number 3 on the list is the rare Carnage from Superior Foes of Spider-Man. If you have this piece and are familiar with it, you will notice that this one looks a little bit different because I went through the job of giving him the correct paint job, since WizKids just kind of made him red and put very little detail on him. So I went through and painted all the black lines of that crazy little symbiote on him so it looks better like the character should. Sadly, his dial is a little vanilla with just charge, blades, all dial, with flurry in the middle, some toughness and combat reflexes, and a little exploit weakness. However, the best part about him is that being 100 points, if he would attack and end up damaging any character that has less points than him, you don't give him a token for it. And if he KOs a character, he'll heal a click, and if that character has less points, he'll heal 2 clicks. So if you can get him into where all the fluff is on your opponent's team, he can make quick work of them and just keep on going like the homicidal maniac that he is, and we all love him for it. Number 1 and number 2 were very hard picks for me. This figure got edged out by the number 1 spot just closely, and I'll get to that in a second. But number 2 is the Shredder Clone Rare from the 3rd Ninja Turtles set, Shredder's Return. Many of you will know this piece from the meta scene, because this piece, as well as the other Shredder duplicates that were chases in the set, are very much meta playable. Due to the fact that him specifically is only 75 points, and whenever he moves up to you of his own volition, he damages you. That's it. No roll, no nothing. Just walks up to you, bam, you take 1 penetrating damage. Not just normal damage, you take penetrating damage. On top of that, you choose a character to have a twisted duel with at the beginning of the turn, at the beginning of the game, and anyone else besides that character gets -2 to their attack whenever they try attacking Shredder. On top of that, he has great defensive values, great attack values, kind of OP for what I want as just a basic Shredder piece, especially one representing the one from the comics, but I'm fine with my favorite characters getting a fanboy dial and power. I'm totally okay with that. And on top of all of that, if you add 10 points to his point cost, when he dies, he will turn into the Shark Shredder. This is not my number 2 pick, I'm just showing it for the case of the character. Who basically extends the life of that piece for quite a few clicks and can even heal up, which makes it even more of a pain to your opponent. So again, as far as you go to the meta scene, will know that this piece is kind of revered and very hard to get. I had to trade the Chase Superman from Elseworlds to get him. I was very happy when I finally collected him and all the other pieces from that set, and so there is that. And number 1, many people will not be surprised by this pick at all, but number 1 does go to the Colossal Carnage from the Mighty Thor set. This piece was a piece I always wanted them to make since the beginning of Clicks, because I always hoped they'd make the Colossal Carnage. Since I knew they made Colossals, I never figured they actually would make him. So when the reveal came about a little over a year ago now actually, that they were putting him in that set, because that set had super boosters, I was extremely happy. This piece got the number 1 pick because of the character itself, because of the dial and how crazy it is. He has his retaliation at the top click of all of his point values. At any time he retaliates, he can spawn in a symbiote Pog, which has plasticity, blades, super senses, and shape change. And you can even add up to 50 points of his point cost, and for each of those 10 points, you can add another symbiote to your force from the get-go. On top of that, playing him at 100 points sets his retaliation so that he can retaliate for 4 damage, spawn the symbiote can attack with blades, and then after all that, he is on flurry for that 4 damage, so he can potentially deal 12 damage himself in 1 turn, possibly up to 18 with the help of his little symbiote buddy. And on top of all that, as you know, this is a very hard piece to get. I had to trade off a Frost Giant and a Chase Unworthy Thor, and paid the guy an extra $20 for shipping, just to secure that I would get him. And I was very happy when I did. And I also want to thank Kelly from Golden Eagle for giving me the Unworthy Thor Chase as a gift that I used to help get this possibly favorite piece in my collection. So, but that is all for my top 10. I hope you've enjoyed it. do believe Chris will be making his at some point. And we'll be able to try to get some more videos out for you guys to watch and enjoy. And maybe just have some discussions on why we play clicks and what we like about the game. But until then, I hope your rolls are all critical hits, and if not, Prob control bit.